and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live news Manchester United update show. We've got lots to talk about because at the moment it's the international break and there's no transfer window on at the moment, so I'm doing shows every other day or days where there's generally news to talk about, and there's lots of stories I do want to talk about in today's video, guys. We're going to be talking about Donnie Vanderbiek. This has only recently come out about in the last hour. He's gone on Rio Ferdinand Show 5. You can watch that on YouTube. He's spoken about his future. It's like an hour-long interview, but I'm going to pick out some key things that Donnie Vanderbiek said about what position he wants to play, how he feels he's being treated at Manchester United and all of that. I'm going to be talking about exactly what Donnie Vanderbiek said about his lack of game time, how he's being treated, what position he wants to play. I'll quote some of the main things that Donnie said in that interview. We're also going to be talking about Ronaldo is obviously in Manchester. As we know, he's in quarantine, but he's returning to training tomorrow or Wednesday, according to rumours, meaning he will be ready for the Newcastle game. It's looking more and more likely that will be his debut. We're looking at our targets for 2022 come January, come the summer, and apparently our number one replacement for Paul Pogba is Youri Tielemans. We'll talk more about that in detail and what Fabrizio Romano's had to say on the whole situation in a second. Manchester United have their priorities next, and sources are saying these are the players that Manchester United want to get in next, and we'll be talking about who's going to be the next signing for Manchester United. Will our next signing be in January? Will our next signing be in the summer? But we know our next signing for Manchester United is going to be a midfielder, it's going to be a striker, but who could be the next signing from Manchester United? When are they going to come? Obviously, Bruno got nominated for Premier League Player of the Month. So not Premier League Player of the Month, Premier League Goal of the Month. Bruno won Premier League Goal of the Month. I think Premier League Player of the Month will go to Antonio, but Greenwood could still win that. So do make sure you vote for Greenwood. Jessie Lingard scored 2 goals yesterday for England. He's been in great form since his West Ham, obviously, debut and all that. So we'll be talking about how will Jessie Lingard fit in at Manchester United? How can we play and use Jessie Lingard and utilise him in the team? We'll talk about what midfielders are going to be free in 2022. Who can we get on a free transfer in the summer? And more. So guys, please do go ahead. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe down below. Make sure you share the stream and all of that. Bright's come in with the early comments saying Victor as a CDM. I've said this time and time again, I do not want to see Victor Lindelof as a CDM. If we're going to try any player out CDM, it should be Donnie Vanderbeek. And do you know why it should be Donnie Vanderbeek? Because Donnie Vanderbeek came out in an interview today and even said he played in that position for Ajax. So if we're going to play a CDM, I don't want to see Lindelof. I think Tuanzebe would have been more suited to the CDM role than Lindelof. Yes, he's played a few games as a CDM, but ideally we sign a top CDM. Maybe if we get some injuries to Matic and everyone, maybe we try Lindelof out as a CDM if injuries get bad. But for me, if we're going to be trying anyone out as a CDM or anyone out in the pivot, it should be Donnie Vanderbeek, because he's talked about his future. And he said, Donnie Vanderbeek, quote unquote, said he feels his best positions are in the 6 and in the 8 role. You know, I will come and quote what Donnie Vanderbeek has said in just a second, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Obviously, Man United fan page just commented that Fabrizio Romano says if Pogba goes, we will get Tielemans. Will we get a CDM on top of Tielemans? Though, and this is exactly what I want to talk about before I get into some more topics. So Fabrizio Romano's come out today and he said that Manchester United obviously have to decide on Paul Pogba's situation, Paul Pogba's future. But he said that Youri Tielemans is one to watch in the future regarding Manchester United, as Man United do view Youri Tielemans as the ideal replacement for Paul Pogba. Now, I look at that situation and I go, ideally, as a Manchester United fan, I want Paul Pogba to stay and sign a new contract because Paul Pogba is a level ahead of Youri Tielemans. But in terms of a Paul Pogba replacement, I think Youri Tielemans is a very, very good replacement. He's obviously much younger. He's got a lot of experience at Leicester. So I think if you sell Paul Pogba, you have to get a CDM and Youri Tielemans, maybe Ndidi and Youri Tielemans. Not that Leicester would let us do that, but that's what I mean. And I think Youri Tielemans would be a good replacement for Paul Pogba. You can never solely replace Paul Pogba because he's such a fantastic player. You can't physically replace Paul Pogba. But I think Tielemans would be a good replacement. The one thing I have to say about Youri Tielemans, and I sat here 2 years ago and I don't think I have any videos on the channel because I think this was before I did Man United content, because it was 2 years ago. But I was talking 2 years ago that Man United should sign Tielemans. I said about 2 years ago, Man United should go and sign Youri Tielemans. And do you know why I've been saying that? Because when Tielemans first came to Leicester, he was on loan from Monaco. And he had a really good 6-month loan spell at Leicester. And then Monaco said it was 30 or 40 million pounds and you could buy Tielemans. It was 30, 40 million pounds to buy Tielemans. And I remember this was 2 years ago. We just lost Herrera. I was going, United should be paying 40 million for Tielemans. I think it's a bargain. 40 million for Tielemans 2 years ago, I thought it was a bargain. I think 40 million for Tielemans would be a bargain right now, but no way Leicester are going to give us Tielemans 40 million. He's going to be at least 50, 60 million. If he pushes the move, maybe 50, but he's going to be expensive. But I remember the only thing that frustrates me about Man United going for Tielemans is 2 years ago, a lot of Man United fans were saying we should go for Tielemans after his good loan spell at Leicester before he joined Leicester. All the United fans were like, why don't we go for Tielemans? We've lost Herrera, we've lost Fellaini, you know, we need a midfielder. Why don't we look at Yuri Tielemans? And I was saying this 2 years ago, and I think that's the only frustrating situation. As a Man United fan, I think Tielemans would be a good replacement for Paul Pogba. Ideally, I don't want Pogba to go, but then I do look at the situation and I go, we could have signed him 2 years ago. I still think, you know, we didn't sign a CDM this transfer window because the board actually came out today. I think the Manchester even used it in an article on why we didn't sign a CDM. I think basically the board never viewed the CDM as a priority position. Apparently, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the coaches and the board, the reason we didn't sign a midfielder this summer was apparently because no one at Manchester United thought centre mid was a priority position or CDM was a priority position. And if that is true, that is really worrying. I am, as a United fan, obviously I'm going to be positive. I'm going to spread positive vibes about the club. You know, I'm not in for negativity on the channel. But as a Manchester United fan, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and all the coaches are sitting there and they've said midfield isn't a priority after watching all the performances last season, after watching all the performances from Fred and no Matic is past it, I am seriously concerned. Now, I do think the reason we didn't sign a CDM is because Sancho was a Glazers signing. Varane was obviously a signing that we needed. And I think Ronaldo, at the end of the day, it was a Glazers signing. We know that. They basically confirmed that the Glazers signed Ronaldo because they wanted to keep the fans on their side because they know they'd lose the fans if we go to Manchester City. But I just sit there and go, so the CDM wasn't priority this summer window. It wasn't priority the summer before. And then the summer before that, we sold Herrera. We lost Herrera on a free. We got rid of Fellaini in the winter. No one really cares about that. And I sit there and go, we've had 3 windows, but we've needed to get a midfielder in, and we haven't. And Tielemans was obviously one of them 2 years ago. And we've had a window where we need to get CDM in. And if we lose Paul Pogba, guys, if we lose Paul Pogba at Manchester United, we're going to be sitting here not only needing a Paul Pogba replacement in Tielemans that is going to be 50 million plus, but also needing a CDM because Matic is going to be no younger. We know Fred and McTominay can't play as a CDM, and he isn't going to give Donny the opportunity. We will talk about Donny and the comments he's made in just a second. Mr. Randomizer says we already know that Ollie wants Haaland. Imagine replacing Pogba with Tielemans. Look, Tielemans is a solid replacement, but no one's going to come in and replace Pogba. What do you guys want, Ndidi or Declan Rice? Personally, I would take Ndidi. And if it will be Ndidi to United, not Tielemans, Leicester have already tapped up Basuma. I'm sure Leicester would replace Tielemans with Basuma. Leicester are very, very smart in the business that they do and all of that. And get Bellingham. He's a Rolls Royce. I thought Bellingham was absolutely fantastic for England yesterday. He's a box-to-box player, not a CDM. But in terms of a box-to-box player and a Pogba replacement, I wouldn't complain with Bellingham. But would Ollie even give Bellingham a chance? Would Ole Gunnar Solskjaer give Bellingham potentially the chance he deserves? Recreation says we should give Vanderbeek time on the pitch. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today's stream, as amongst other topics. Pogba's gone and get Real. I think Pogba is looking more and more like the Pogba will go. But I think if we have a good season, he'll put pen to paper. We really need Ruben Neves to super duper vanilla. And Niall Kane says, is Richard Arnold not the guy who's on Good Morning Britain that talks about soap operas that looks to replace Pogba from the thumbnail? No idea, if you want my honest opinion. And Alice, did you see Lingard scoring for England? And what's your thoughts on the racist abuse by Hungary? And I am going to be talking about that in a sec. So let me get straight to some stories. So we just discussed the Paul Pogba, Yuri Tielemans situation, as I said. Now, I want to quickly talk about Donnie Vanderbeek and Jessie Lingard before I get into some more news. I'm going to be revealing who, according to a source, the next players Manchester United sign are. So we're going to be talking about the next player Manchester United is potentially going to sign. I will be revealing that. But what I want to quickly talk about is, of course, Mr. Donnie Vanderbeek and Mr. Jessie Lingard. Now, we'll start with Donnie Vanderbeek. So Donnie Vanderbeek had an interview on 5 today, by the way, guys. It's Rio Ferdinand's kind of show. They also have Joel Bayer, Stephen Howson on there. Really, really good show. I've seen it a couple of times before. Now, they asked him some really good questions. It was a really good interview. Obviously, I didn't watch it all because it didn't come out that long ago and it is quite long, but I've watched a bit of it. I've seen some of the quotes. And they asked him some straight-up questions. They literally asked Donnie Vanderbeek, how do you feel about your lack of game time? What position do you think you play best in? They were really straight up with Donnie Vanderbeek. And Donnie Vanderbeek said on whether he could play as a number 6, he said, yes, I'd like to play as a 6 or an 8. They're the positions I like to play. Most people know me at Ajax, where I was playing as a 10 a lot, but I can also play as a number 6 or a number 8. And he also said that he wants to be a big part of the Manchester United team now. He said it's hard to get opportunities because it's such a good squad, but he knows his time will come. He was obviously being very, very respectful of Manchester United, Donnie Vanderbeek. And Donnie Vanderbeek also says, I think I can play as a deep-line playmaker, but of course I don't know what the manager thinks and what he expects from me, but I've played this role before at Ajax. I think I can play this role well. So Donnie Vanderbeek's basically saying he thinks he can play as a CDM. He thinks he can play as a player in a pivot, but he doesn't know if Ollie thinks that. He's like, you know, I know I can play this. I've done it well. I've done it at Ajax. I don't know if the manager knows I can play this, but like, you know, I've played this role well before. And I think, like, obviously Donny Vanderbeek's not going to slander Ollie. He's not going to chat shit. He's not going to get angry. He's not that kind of guy. And if he was that kind of guy, then it would make him get less game time because Ollie wouldn't want that kind of guy at the club. But Donny's basically said he believes he can play as a CDM or a deep line playmaker. He's done it at Ajax, and he hopes the manager would believe this as well and all of that. And I think that's really, really interesting from Donny Vanderbeek. Like, he knows he can play in that pivot, and he knows he's not going to get in the number 10 role with Bruno Fernandes there. And even now, Jessie Lingard coming in is maybe priority is Bruno's backup, considering the fine form Jessie Lingard's been in. Obviously, 2 goals for England. So, yeah, I think it's a situation where I sit down and I feel a bit sorry for Vanderbeek because McTominay's injured, Matic has passed it, and Fred's been atrocious in the pivot, where if I'm Donny Vanderbeek and I know I can play in the pivot, and Donny said, look, he knows he can play in the pivot, I think you would sit there very, very frustrated that he's potentially not getting the game time he deserves. My thoughts on this is if Donny is an out-and-out number 6, he can play along with Matic in the pivot, yes, where he has some license to push forward. But like, if he isn't, can he play with Fred in the pivot? Can he play with McTominay in the pivot where we wouldn't have that license to go forward? Because Matic is the only player at Manchester United that is an out-and-out CDM. Matic is the only player at Manchester United that allows actual like midfielders to go forward. You know, when Pogba's played his best football next to Matic, you know, when Pogba plays with Fred, he's not great. When Pogba plays with McTominay, he's not great. But when Pogba plays with Matic, you normally get the best out of Paul Pogba because Matic allows Paul Pogba that license to get forward. He does. And I think Paul Pogba's best games in the pivot have come next to Matic. You know, interim manager Ollie, post-lockdown NHS Man United, and Pogba was obviously fantastic. I mean, his best performance with Manchester United as of late have come off the left, but his best, I'm talking midfield performances, has come with Matic in the pivot. And I think the situation with Donny Vanderbeek is we know he can do a very, very good job with Matic in the pivot. We know that Donny Vanderbeek can do a very, very good job along with Matic in the pivot, but can Donny Vanderbeek do a good job, let's say, next to Fred in the pivot? We've never seen Donny and Fred in the pivot. We've never seen it before. Can Donny do a good job on McTominay in the pivot? Now, we did see that against Watford. He did a decent job. And I think that's what's going to be really, really interesting to see come the future. Now, a player I do want to talk about is Jessie Lingard. Now, there's a bit of a situation at Manchester United where Jessie Lingard wasn't sold. West Ham did not want to pay 25 million for Jessie Lingard. Now, Jessie Lingard has been in the form of his life. He had a 6-month loan spell at West Ham. He was absolutely fantastic. He's been very, very good and involved in pre-season. And he's obviously gone and scored 2 goals for England on international duty. However, saying that, Jessie Lingard has barely been involved in Manchester United's last 3 games in the Premier League. Jessie Lingard has barely been involved. And I'm in a situation where, like, Jessie Lingard is in good form. He's a player that needs minutes. You know, if he doesn't get minutes, he's going to lose confidence. He's a player that is a good player, but where does he fit in at Manchester United, Jessie Lingard? Where does he fit in? Because the only way I can see Jessie Lingard getting in the team is if Bruno Fernandes gets injured. For me, that's the only way Jessie gets a chance because Bruno Fernandes is undroppable. Like, even if Bruno has a poor game, he can just pop up in the 90th minute and score you that goal. You know, Bruno is a moments player. He's a magic player. He can make things happen. And I sit here as a Manchester United fan and I go, I worry for Jessie Lingard. I think we're going to end up selling him in January because I think he's staying at Man United because he's in great form. He thinks he deserves game time. But you know what? Donny Vanderbeek doesn't get game time. Axel Tuanzebe played a few good games, doesn't get game time. Ollie doesn't like to change up his squad. Ollie doesn't like to rotate much. We know that. We do know that Jessie is one of Ollie's favourites. So Jessie Lingard's potentially going to be picked over Donny Vanderbeek. You saw that versus Southampton. Jessie Lingard is one of Ollie's favourites. So maybe Jessie will get given a chance. But I do worry about Jessie Lingard. I think we should have sold him. Not because I dislike Jessie Lingard. I think he's a quality player. I think he would add something to the squad if he played. But when you have Bruno Fernandes in his position and when you have Sancho and Greenwood that can play in the other positions he can play in, I'm like, how does Jessie Lingard get into the Manchester United team, guys? How does he get into the Manchester United team? And the truth is, I don't think he does. I think he'll be rotated. I think maybe if we need to rest Bruno, he will come in. But wasn't Donny bought for Bruno alternative? I just sit there and I go, I could see Jessie Lingard very much being sold in January because he wants to go to Qatar 2022. That will probably be his last international tournament as a player. And you're not going to go to Qatar 2022 if you're not playing. And he managed to get himself back into the England squad by playing for West Ham. And I think he could actually go to an international tournament if he goes to West Ham and continues that fine form. But unfortunately, we know that Jessie Lingard didn't get that move to West Ham in the summer. And I do think that is a really, really worrying situation regarding Jessie Lingard. Because, look, I'd like Lingard to play. I really do. I do like Lingard. But I just cannot see him getting the game time. Another story I want to quickly get into before I talk about who is United likely to sign in January and midfielders that we could sign on a free come 2022 in the transfer plan. But Cristiano Ronaldo is set to join on Wednesday, set to join training at Manchester United on Wednesday once this isolation ends, which will be really, really good. We'll probably see some Ronaldo training pics released on Wednesday. I will be live Wednesday night, so make sure you subscribe for that. Guys, if you are watching and you haven't already hit that like button, please do go ahead and keep hitting that like button. Guys, come on, hit that like button now if you haven't already, by the way. But Rob Dawson of ESPN, now he's a tier 2 journalist, by the way, Rob Dawson. Pretty decent journalist, tier 2. He says that Manchester United remain keen on Declan Rice. He says that Solskjaer and Ed Woodward were among, aware of the clamor of supporters telling them to sign a new midfielder, but a winger and centre-back were identified as the club's primary target. So Rob Dawson's come out and said that basically Ed Woodward, Manchester United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer were very much aware of the fan wanting a CDM. Like all the Man United fans have sat here and gone, we want a CDM, we want a CDM, we want to get a defensive midfielder in Manchester United, we want to get a midfielder in Manchester United. And Ed Woodward, Solskjaer, everyone on the board is aware that Manchester United want a midfielder. But despite the fans wanting it, the board, Ed Woodward, Solskjaer, have not deemed CDM or midfielder a priority at Manchester United, despite them knowing that the fans wanted a CDM, and despite them watching the whole of Manchester United last year, they have not deemed us getting a CDM a priority at Manchester United this summer. They are looking to get one next summer, and I will talk about who they're looking to buy next summer, not just Tielemans, someone else that Man United looking to buy next summer. I will talk about that. But I think this is worrying because this has come from a pretty reliable source that, United were keen on Declan Rice, but we didn't view midfielders as a priority. And I said this right at the beginning of the stream. The fact that Carrick, Ollie, everyone that watches Manchester United, all the coaches, all the people higher up could have watched Man United for the whole of last season and thought getting Ronaldo and Sancho in was more important than getting a CDM. Now, Ronaldo and Sancho are great signings. Do not get me wrong. I'm very, very happy with the signings of Ronaldo. I'm very, very happy with the signing of Sancho. But Man United's issue last season was not scoring goals. Man United did not have a problem scoring goals last season. It was clearly we were losing the midfield battle and we didn't have many options in midfield. And players that we could use in midfield weren't getting a chance. Cough, cough. Donnie Vanderbeek. And I sit here and I go, surely Solskjaer is listening to the fans crying out for a CDM. Surely Woodward's listening to the fans crying out for a CDM. And they were. They were listening to the fans crying out for a CDM. But they still, despite what the fans said, didn't think we needed a CDM. And as a Man United fan, it kind of annoys me because I wish the club would listen to us fan base more. I wish Man United would sit there and actually listen to the fan base more and be like, you know what? The fans want us to get a CDM. Maybe we need a CDM. But the way Man United are, they don't really listen to the fan base. It's a bit of a frustrating situation at Man United. They're not listening to the fan base. They know we want a CDM, but despite the whole fan base they're saying we want a CDM, they're still stubborn enough, the board, Ollie's still stubborn enough to think that Fred is the option. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted Declan Rice, but he wasn't a priority. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer didn't view getting a CDM as a priority. And I worry that this is Ollie's stubbornness because I'm sure Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows that the majority of the Manchester United fans do not think Fred works. I'm 99% sure that Ollie knows that the majority of Manchester United fans want him to play Donny, the majority of Man United fans don't think Fred works, and the majority of Man United fans want a CDM. But despite Ollie knowing this, he will not change his way. He will not listen to the fans. And I think it's a bit of a stubbornness from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I feel like he wants to prove us wrong, that Fred is the way. It's like he doesn't want to listen. In a weird way, sometimes I feel like Ollie doesn't want to listen to the fans because surely he would be aware of that. And I think that is a situation that I sit here as a United fan, and it is really, really frustrating. Guys, please do go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. And of course, subscribe down to Alice Talks Football if you're not subscribed to the channel. Niall Kane says, I watched Donny earlier on Rio Fernandez channel / podcast, and he just spoke about everything. Man United comes across down to earth guy. Not sure if you saw it early on, I'll watch it later. I did watch that. It was a very, very good interview. And would you start Jessie Lingard on the left wing versus Newcastle? I would not. I would be starting Paul Pogba on the left wing versus Newcastle and playing Donny and Matic in the pivot. Whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will do that or not, we'll have to wait and see. And JB says, hey people, CR7 debut this weekend. I am so excited. Guys, hit that like button for Cristiano Ronaldo's debut this weekend. If you're excited for Cristiano Ronaldo's debut this weekend, please do go ahead and hit that like button because I'm excited. And talking about recent signing, Cristiano Ronaldo is the most recent player to join Manchester United. But despite only just signing Cristiano Ronaldo, talks have been going off about who Man United are going to sign next. And the rumours are basically saying that Manchester United's next signings are likely to be HAALAND and Declan Rice. They are the two players we want to sign next. Whether we'll get those deals over the line or not, whether they'll choose to come to us or not, that is a debate for another day. You know, Haaland could go to Real Madrid or PSG or Liverpool or Manchester City because they didn't get Kane or Ronaldo, and Declan Rice could easily go to Chelsea. But rumours coming in from multiple sources are basically saying Manchester United next signings will hopefully be Haaland and Declan Rice. These are our priorities. We're already prepared to make moves for them as early as January and in the summer. We'll have to wait and see what that happens. So despite Man United not signing a midfielder come summer, we didn't sign a midfielder this summer. It's been told that midfielder is now going to be our priority along with striker going into the next transfer window. I think Cavani will leave at the end of this year. I think Martial will likely leave if he doesn't find his form. Martial did score a goal for France the other day, which was always good to see. But I think the situation is Cavani could possibly go, Martial will go, and we could be looking at a striker. But hopefully, CDM is still a priority over striker come the summer, by the way. Donnie Vanderbeek said a couple other things regarding Manchester United as well. He said, I speak to my manager about it with the club. We're clear he wants me to stay. The manager's very positive about me. I need you and I want you here. Donnie Vanderbeek was asked if this loan move to Everton was going to happen. What was the situation with Donnie Vanderbeek potentially joining Everton on loan? And he literally said that, he spoke to the manager. He said he's going to get his chance and stuff. Now, I want to know your guys' thoughts on Donnie Vanderbeek. So do quickly get this in the comment section down below. But are you happy with the treatment of Donny Vanderbeek? Was Donny Vanderbeek brought in to be a squad player, or should Donny Vanderbeek be a first-team regular? For me, I don't think that Donny should start every game. We've got Pogba, we've got Matic, we've got lots of options. But Donny Vanderbeek should definitely be getting more minutes than he has. So for me, Donny Vanderbeek is more than a squad player. For me, Fred should be a squad player, not Donny Vanderbeek. Donny Vanderbeek should be a player that plays regularly, but not week in, week out. That's how I feel about the situation. But I'm always intrigued to know how you guys play. And Nick Morris says that Lingard needs to leave, but I'm glad we have a player like Lingard at United that wants to fight for his place, and we need more players like that. And you have to say, look, despite Lingard not leaving Manchester United, he's got a very good mentality, and I think this is something that Ronaldo coming in is only going to improve. I think one of the problems Manchester United had a couple of years ago was mentality. And I do think, whether you're Ollie in or Ollie out, I spoke about this in my last stream, whether you're Ollie in or Ollie out, you have to admit Ollie installed a very good mentality in a lot of these players. The fact that we can play shocking in the first half and then come out a completely different team in the second half. The fact that we've got players like Bruno Fernandes, Varane, and Ronaldo in the squad that have come out and said that they want to win the Premier League this year. They've come out and said, I want to win the Premier League this year. Man United have got some absolute elite personalities in the squad, and you need a mixture of hard workers and elite personality, And I think, players like Jessie Lingard, he's a very, very hard worker. He plays for the badge. He wants to prove himself. He wants to prove his place. So does Donny Vanderbeek. And I think that's a good situation to be in as a Man United fan. We're talking here about how's Donny going to get into the team? How's Lingard going to get into the team? But, 2 years ago, we were talking about how Angel Gomez is going to get in the team over Andreas Pereira. I think, we're in a situation where our team is so strong. We're discussing how Donny and Lingard is going to get in. I think the reason we discuss so much about how Donny gets in is just because of how shit Fred has been, and we think that Donny generally deserves a chance. But we're in a situation as a Man United fan base where our team has really got a lot stronger, that we are talking about how does Lingard get in this team, and Lingard's in great form. How does a player like Donny Vanderbeek get in the team? And I do think that's a positive thing because they're working hard. I think Donny and Lingard are trying their best in training. They want to prove themselves. They want to get in the team. They've got a great mentality. I think the way that Donny spoke in his interview showed he had a great mentality, but it's also a frustrating situation because I think they do deserve more chances. I think Ollie needs to rotate more, but then you look at the team and you go, Lingard doesn't get in that team. Whether you like Lingard or not, in our strongest starting 11, despite Lingard being in great form, unfortunately, he doesn't get in. And all of that. Daniela Stewart says, can you get it right? Jessie did not want to leave Man United, and Man United did not want to sell him at the end of the day. It was not that West Ham did not want to pay. I think it was a mixture of the three. I think that I was surprised that Lingard didn't want to leave Manchester United this summer, because I thought that Jessie Lingard would be generally wanting to get into the England World Cup 2022 squad. And being realistic, Jessie Lingard doesn't get in our strongest starting 11. And despite his great form, he doesn't. And I sometimes sit there and I go, I was surprised that Jessie Lingard did not leave Manchester United this summer. I thought he'd want to go to Qatar 2022. But yeah, Donny Vanderbeek did speak about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, by the way, and he said that Solskjaer has been really positive about him. He's feeling well, he's in good shape, and he hopes that he can show people he's improved a lot. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer obviously told Donny he didn't want him going to Everton. He's going to be part of the squad. He's going to be used. He's going to be involved. By the way, guys, this is news coming out. Donny's just done an interview talking about why he didn't leave in the summer, what Ole said to him, what Donny's best position is. So if you've just tuned in, Donny spoke to Solskjaer. Solskjaer said to Donny that he sees a big difference in him. You can tell that he's stronger now. He says that Donny had this 1 year experience in England. Solskjaer told Donny he doesn't want him going on loan to Everton because he's going to be a big part of the squad this year, and he's going to use Donny, and he's going to want to be, he wants to involve Donny in the squad. And Donny's obviously come out and said that he believes he can play as a number 6. He believes his strongest position would be a number 6 and number 8 for Manchester United, which is really, really interesting news, by the way, guys. Coming in, Lingardinho is a baller, and Donny Pogba replacement, believe that. We're talking a Pogba replacement, as I said earlier. Fabrizio Romano said that Manchester United are looking at Yuri Tielemans as a potential Pogba replacement, and Rich Sports says that Ollie's man management is his greatest strength. With certain players, yes, but with not other players, probably no. And David Hughes says centre-back for Wan-Bissaka doesn't make any sense with Varane, So CDM may be possible. Also, Kante in disguise. You're talking about Wan-Bissaka at CDM. I do want to talk about this. I've said this before. Didn't Wan-Bissaka look a lot better when he sat? Wan-Bissaka was very, very good versus Wolves. I worded that really badly. Wan-Bissaka was very, very good versus Wolves. And I think Varane is going to have a massive impact on Wan-Bissaka. We saw it versus Wolves. It's only one game, but I think Lindelof drags Wan-Bissaka down because Wan-Bissaka's positioning is his weakness. People talk about Wan-Bissaka, they go, he can't cross, he can't attack, all this. Wan-Bissaka's weakness is not attacking. You know, Wan-Bissaka got more assists than Reece James and Kyle Walker combined last season. I'm not lying. Wan-Bissaka got more assists than Reece James and Kyle Walker combined last season. Obviously, you know, Reece James could have got more assists if Timo Werner could finish. I'll throw that out, but I think, you know, he gets a lot of disrespect, Wan-Bissaka. And for me, Wan-Bissaka's weakest part as a player is his positioning. But against Wolves, positionally, he was excellent. He was there to clear it off the line. We didn't lose the Wolves thanks to Wan-Bissaka and De Gea. They completely saved Manchester United. And I think with Varane coming in, you're going to get the best of Wan-Bissaka. And I've said this time and time again on the channel. I'm going to say it again. Varane coming in means, one, you don't have to play McFred with Varane coming in because we didn't play McFred versus Wolves because we couldn't. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could have been very, very negative and very, very passive versus Wolves. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could have played Fred and Matic versus Wolves and played very, very negative football. He opted to play Fred and Pogba, and I will take Fred and Pogba over Fred and Matic any day of the week. Ideally, Fred on the bench, that would be the first choice priority. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was more than happy to play Fred and Pogba versus Wolves rather than going to his normal Fred and Matic or Mukfred. And that's because he had Varane in the back four. And with Varane in the back four, because he's got pace, because he's such an experienced centre-back, you can afford to expose Varane. And not only is Varane, I think, going to improve Wan-Bissaka, I thought Wan-Bissaka's positionally improved. Varane's obviously going to improve Harry Maguire. Maguire looks better next to Stones than looks next to Lindelof. Maguire looks better next to Bailly than looks next to Lindelof because Lindelof's lack of pace, he drags Maguire down. But, you know, Varane's improved Maguire, Varane's improved Wan-Bissaka, but also Man United do not need to play McFred with Varane. And coming back to this, Donnie Vanderbiek is going to be used a lot more this season. Maybe Ollie knows that. Maybe Ollie knows that now you don't have to play McFred to protect Varane because Varane got no protection versus Wolves and he was absolutely solid. He's going to risk playing Donny in the pivot. And I think the reason he never risked playing Donny in the pivot before was because he didn't trust Lindelof and Maguire. Now, Varane isn't Ollie's signing. Varane was Ollie's first choice signing. Ollie's a big fan of Rafael Varane. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer always wanted Varane at Manchester United. And I think he trusts Varane and Maguire as a partnership. And that's why I think we're going to see less of McFred and more of Donny. You know, Donny said he's going to get his time. He's bulked up. He's improved. Solskjaer's told Donny that he's going to be involved a lot more. But I said this time and time again, I think we'll see a lot more of Donny because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in fact, does trust Varane and Maguire a lot more than he trusts Lindelof and Maguire and all of that. David Hughes says, if Ollie doesn't play Donny soon, it's an embarrassment. I mean, look, Donny's been training hard, as Nick says. I think Donny's been training hard, bulking up and strengthening more to play CDM. And we said Donny in his interview today came out and said that he can play as a six. He played as a six for Ajax. He talks about what he thinks his best position is and all of that. And Donny thinks that he can play in the pivot. He's done it before. And Donny came out and said his best position is kind of in the pivot or a box-to-box player. You know, even though he's played as a 10 for Ajax, Donny views his best positions as a 6 or an 8 and all of that. Jackal, thanks for the comment. Oh my God, you really work hard on this channel. I can see how creative it looks. Awesome. Thank you very much for the comment there. Can I get a Viva Ronaldo? Love it when you say it running down the wind. Viva Ronaldo, guys. Viva Ronaldo. Do go ahead and get your Viva Ronaldos in the chat quickly and smash that like button before I talk about their next comment. And Ethan says, is it true that we're thinking about playing Victor as CDM? Look, I had no reliable reports have read up about Victor at CDM. You know what? Ollie won't even play Donnie Vanderbeek at CDM, who's probably going to be a better CDM than Victor Lindelof. So I don't believe that we're even looking at playing Victor Lindelof at CDM. If we can't give Donnie Vanderbeek an opportunity, surely Victor Lindelof's not going to get an opportunity. But talking of CDM, I want to talk about a topic that I spoke about briefly in my last live stream. And basically, news is basically coming in that obviously Sakaria, Kessie, and another player. Who was the third player? Sakaria and Kessie will be free agents in 2022, by the way, guys. So I'm in a situation where Manchester United might need to get 2 midfielders in. If we lose Paul Pogba in a free, we're in a situation where we need to sign 2 midfielders. We need to sign a Paul Pogba replacement and we need to sign a CDM. And I said this yesterday. I think it's really, really important that with Sakaria and Kessie being free agents come the summer, you know, we can snap them up in January, sign a pre-contract, and they can join in the summer for free. And I think if you look at Chuchumini, so I'd love Chuchumini. We'll talk about Chuchumini in a second. There's actually some news about Chuchumini to Manchester United. We'll talk about it in a second. But I love Kessie. I think Kessie for AC Milan is a fantastic player. He can play as a CDM. I think he would be an absolutely solid signing for Manchester United. I like Sakaria as well, but I would opt to Kessie over Sakaria just because of Sakaria's injury troubles in the last years. And Kessie is going to be 3 next summer. Kessie's going to be 3 in 2022. So in January, I think if Man United know they're going to lose Paul Pogba, or if CDM is a priority, like Manchester United is saying, come next summer, we're going to get a midfielder. That's what they said. In January, we need to go ahead and sign a pre-contract with Kessie in January to get him in the summer for free. Because once you sign that pre-contract with Kessie to get him in the summer free, that is your CDM out the way. So then we can spend the actual summer, because that's took out another budget, we can spend the actual summer going, let's look at a Paul Pogba replacement. Obviously, Tielemans is the Paul Pogba replacement we're looking at right now. But we can actually spend the summer looking at the Paul Pogba replacement. And we might go, we need Haaland. So if you get Kessie or Sakari, who are going to be free agents in 2022, out the way in January, signing on a pre-contract, that's done for the summer. Man United have the whole summer to go Haaland, Rice, Pogba replacement, whoever they want to bring in. And that's what I think we should do. And that is what I pray to God. I hope we do. But who knows? And according to Rob Dawson of ESPN, Manchester United's 2 number 1 priorities come 2022 are Declan Rice and Erling Haaland. They're the 2 players we're going to go all out for to sign in 2022, which I think will be really interesting. I think, to be fair, if I could have 2 players for the squad, it would be Ndidi and Erling Haaland, and Ndidi, Declan Rice, potato. I do think that Ndidi is a level ahead of Declan Rice, but we know that is the situation at Manchester United. But a lot of free CDMs that we could be going for, and hopefully we go for. CR7 is the best. We've got the best player in the league at our club. There's this thing actually going around TikTok at the moment where we talk about world-class players at each Premier League club. And someone said this the other day, and that Manchester United have more world-class players than any other Premier League club. And you know what? I agree with it. We're talking about world-class players, so Ronaldo is world-class, Pogba's world-class, Bruno is world-class, and Varane is world-class. You could even clarify Luke Shaw as world-class because he's one of the best in his position. World-class means you're the top 5 in your position across the world. That's Ronaldo, that's Varane, that's Luke Shaw for me, that's Pogba, that's Bruno. They're all world-class. Greenwood is a generational talent, but he's not world-class. We have 5 definite world-class players at Manchester United. This was the thing coming on TikTok. Man City, okay, Diaz, KDB, 2 world-class players. Spurs, Kane, possibly Son, 2 world-class players. Arsenal, fuck all, because they're shit. Chelsea, Lukaku, definitely. Thiago Silva in his prime, but not really anymore. You could probably throw Kante in, maybe 3. And then again, what's the 2 I missed out? Liverpool, Robbo, Trent, Fabinho, Van Dijk, 4 for me. Salah, 5. Us and Liverpool probably have the most world-class players, but Ronaldo is probably the best player in the Prem. Viva Ronaldo running down the ring. So how much would Tielemans cost? I was talking about this at the start of my live stream. If Manchester United are going to go for Tielemans next summer's a Pogba replacement, as Romano says, Leicester brought Tielemans for £40 million. Now, I'm actually going to quickly Google when Tielemans' contract expires, just so I can actually have a good guess. But if you want my honest opinion, it's Leicester City. I think that Tielemans would cost £60 million, which I think is a lot of money. I think it would take out a fair bit of the transfer budget. And that's why I said earlier in the stream, if Manchester United need to replace Paul Pogba, it's really important that we get one of the free CDMs in January. I've said this, it's really important that we get one of the free CDMs in January if we want to replace Paul Pogba, because to replace Paul Pogba, you're going to have to spend 50 million plus. And if Paul Pogba goes, we need to sign 2 midfielders, a CDM and a Paul Pogba replacement. And you're going to have to throw 50 million replacing Paul Pogba. We already want Erling Haaland, which is 75 million. So that's 125 million on top of getting a CDM. And knowing Manchester United will be the 4th summer transfer winner in the world, where we thought 4th summer transfer winner in a row, where we neglect a CDM. And that's why I said it's so important we go get Kessie on a free in January, sign a pre-contract, or Sakari, so we can get that done. So Tielemans' estimated value is £50 million. Now, Tielemans' contract does expire in 2023, by the way, guys. So come summer 2022, Tielemans, our number 1 target, will have 1 year left on his contract. So we could possibly get Tielemans for around £50 million. Because he would have 1 year left on his contract come summer. I think we could get him for about £50 million. I'm just going to take a quick swig of water, but any questions for me, pop them down below in the live chat. I'm going to read through some questions regarding transfer news or anything you have for me, and keep hitting that like button while I drink this water. Hit that like button if you're excited for Ronaldo's debut. There will be a match preview, by the way, coming up Thursday or Friday on the channel, because by Thursday or Friday, we'll have an idea of who's going to be playing for Manchester United versus Newcastle, the injury, the leaked team sheet, all of that. So I will be live again Wednesday night for a news update, and there will probably be a live stream again on Friday for a Manchester United versus Newcastle match preview. So if you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news on the channel, please do go ahead and make sure you are subscribed to Alice Talks Football so you don't miss out on daily Manchester United content on the channel. We've got so much to cover in the next coming days. You know, we're doing a watch long for Ronaldo's debut versus Newcastle, so do subscribe for that. A match preview talking about who's going to start for Man United versus Newcastle, match reactions, transfer news, update news, and more. So I will throw that out. Please do make sure you subscribe. I don't know says, Donny himself said he prefers to play as number 6 role, so he proves himself we might not need a CDM replacement. I don't think that Donny's an out-and-out CDM like Ndidi is, like Declan Rice is, but I believe Donny could do Fred's job, but better. Donny could do McTominay's job, but better. That's what I believe with Donny Vanderbeek. I think with Matic, with prime Matic, he allowed Pogba to have this free roam kind of role. I said this earlier in the stream. When Matic is the only player at Manchester United that really allowed Paul Pogba to free up and have that freedom role. We saw it when Oli was interim manager. We saw it when Man United had the NHS Hearts on their kit post-lockdown Man United. Now, Fred and McTominay can't do that. They can play in the pivot and they can play in the pivot averagely. Now, I don't think Donny Vanderbeek can do the CDM role like Prime Matic could do. I don't think Donny can play with Pogba and completely free up Pogba. But I think Donny could play in the pivot and be a significant improvement on what we have in terms of Fred and McTominay in the pivot. I think McTominay is much better as a box-to-box. I think maybe a good CDM next to McTominay, he would turn into a Souček or Gundogan kind of player. But I think Donny Vanderbeek, what he could do is do what Fred does, but better. And now we haven't signed a CDM in summer, and we can't get a CDM again until January. And there's talks that we're going to just wait till the summer and focus on Declan Rice. You know, you need to utilise the players you have. And I think playing Donny as a CDM could be one of the best options that we do have. Tielemans 2 years left on his contract, so next year, yeah, he'll be decent price, by the way. Alice, on the England game, what did you make of the racist fans abused by Hungary? Just lack of education, just a load of idiots. We beat them. You know, I think the England players dealt with it in such a mature way. It's a shame that people still act like that. And yeah, Sergio says, is it worth getting Haaland, who's a 3-year pilgrim? Why not get someone more long-term? Well, we just got Ronaldo and Cavani, and they're not going to be here more than 3 years. You've got Greenwood coming through, I think, who is a long-term player, and Erling Haaland's Erling Haaland. At the end of the day, Erling Haaland's on the verge of joining Manchester City, and Manchester City are a striker away from becoming the most elite team in Europe. Like, if Manchester City signed Harry Kane, I would put money on them winning the Champions League, winning the league. Because Manchester City are an elite striker away from being... So if Erling Haaland could go to Manchester City come summer because they didn't get Kane. So as a Man United fan, you know, you might go, well, I don't want Haaland. He's not going to be here for 5-6 years. But if signing Erling Haaland stops him going to Manchester City and you're getting one of the most elite, best talents, you know, he gets him and Mbappe are the next Ronaldo, Messi generation, as people say. Sign Erling Haaland. I think Erling Haaland would be an absolutely fantastic addition to the Manchester United squad. I think, obviously, come next summer, CDM is a massive priority, and if Paul Pogba goes, replacing Paul Pogba is the priority after CDM. But you can't miss out on Erling Haaland next summer. You know, 60, 75 million pounds for Erling Haaland. You cannot miss out on him. You cannot miss out on him. And all that. Dennis says that Mino Raiola is the problem if he wants to sign Haaland. The man is mad greedy. That's the situation as well. I hate Mino Raiola. People I don't like, Graham Souness and Mino Raiola. Do not like them. And TalkSport. Do not like the three of them. You have to deal with Mino Raiola. However, United like to use Mino Raiola as an excuse for everything. You know, when United bought Haaland for £20 million, too expensive. Let's go spend 15 million quid on a Gallo. Not lying. Manchester United would rather, literally, this sums up our club. We had Haaland for 20 million and we had a Gallo for 15 million pounds. What did our club do? A Gallo for 15 million pounds. Why did we go for a Gallo for 50 million pounds? Because he's 5 million cheaper than Haaland. That's how our board think. The board would do anything to save a bit of money. Now, Woodward came out and blamed Mino Raiola for the reason we didn't get Haaland. But the reason we didn't get Haaland is because you wanted to save 5 million quid and get a Gallo and shut the fucking fans up. Let's be honest. That's how we're run. But I think we need to go in for Haaland. We know Ollie loves Haaland. We know Ollie has a great connection to Haaland and all of that. Any questions for me, please do pop them down below in the live chat. We've got a couple more topics to talk about. If you've just joined the live stream, make sure you smash that like button. If you are excited for Ronaldo's debut, please do go ahead and smash that like button. What we've been talking about in today's live stream is that Ronaldo will return to Manchester United training on Wednesday, so he'll be ready for the Newcastle game. Tielemans, according to Fabrizio, Romano, is the priority if we lose Paul Pogba. He would cost about 50 million in the summer because he would only have 1 year left on his deal. Apparently, if we lose Paul Pogba, we'll be in for 2 midfielders next summer. It's been revealed that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, despite listening to the fans' cries for a midfielder, did not believe a midfielder was a priority signing this summer. Rice and Haaland are priority signings next summer. Bruno gets goal of the month in the Premier League. 2 goals for Lingard on international break. And obviously, Donnie Vanderbeek has spoken out about his future. They are the main talking points in today's video, by the way, guys. And Haaland's dad played for City, and his dad said years ago in the 90s he wants his son at City. Look, Haaland has a great connection with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They got their Norwegian link. They've worked together. Look, I think Haaland probably is most ideally going to end up at Manchester City. As much as I'd like Haaland at Manchester United, if I was going to put money on where Haaland's going to go, it's Manchester City. Having said that, Manchester City could just go in for Harry Kane next summer. Now, personally, myself, if I had a choice of Harry Kane and Erling Haaland, even if they cost the same amount of money, I would go for Erling Haaland. Even though Harry Kane is better than Haaland, even though Harry Kane is Premier League proven, Erling Haaland is very, very young. Erling Haaland has a much better injury record, and Erling Haaland is a player that's linked up well with Jadon Sancho. So for me, Erling Haaland would 100% be like a priority position for, priority striker for Manchester United come summer. Obviously, the priority position for next summer has been revealed as a midfielder, and we will be talking about midfielders in a sec. Now, Kane says, who do you think United will be linked with in January? Now, I think we're going to be linked with Bissouma in January because he has a year and a half left on his deal in January. So this is the situation. There's a lot of midfielders that are going to run out of contract in summer, and there's a lot of midfielders that are going to run out of contract in 2023. So Bissouma and Tielemans will run out of contract in 2023. So come summer 2022, their clubs will need to sell them because they won't want to lose them for free. We know that the likes of Sakaria and Kessie obviously run out of contract this summer. So I'm going to put money that we're going to be linked to Sakaria, Kessie, and there was another player that someone mentioned in January that runs out of contract this summer. I think they're the CDMs that we're likely to get linked to because they're going to be very, very cheap. There'll be 3 in the summer, or there'll be players that we can get next year. Now, a player that Manchester United have been linked to in the summer was Chuchumini. Chuchumini plays for Monaco. He plays for a CDM, and he played along Paul Pogba. He played alongside Paul Pogba in the pivot for France the other night. And Pogba came out praising Chuchumini, how he likes playing with him in the pivot, how he likes playing with him for France, and how an excellent player he is. Paul Pogba doesn't come out and praise Fred. Paul Pogba doesn't come out and go, I love playing with Fred, he's such a great player. Paul Pogba doesn't come out and praise McTominay, I like playing with McTominay, he's such a great player. Paul Pogba will praise Bruno Fernandes. Paul Pogba will praise Cristiano Ronaldo. Paul Pogba will praise Rafael Varane. But you've never seen Paul Pogba praise Fred or McTominay because Paul Pogba's only going to praise a good player. And Paul Pogba's come out and he started praising Chuchumini, and he's like, this guy's brilliant. I like playing next to him. And Chuchumini was a player we're linked to. And I think if we really want to keep Paul Pogba, Chuchumini is a better player right now than Camavinga, and he's more as established CDM. He would do a better job than Camavinga. We've obviously lost Camavinga, so it is down to Chuchumini anyway. But Paul Pogba's a player that, is praising Chuchumini. I think if you get a player in like Chuchumini at Manchester United, you're more and more likely to get Paul Pogba to stay, put pen to paper and sign a new contract because you probably want to play alongside a player like Chuchumini. Any questions for me, please do get them down below in the live chat. Please do hit that like button, subscribe down below if you're new, and share the stream. By the way, guys, I'm just going to take a quick drink of water, but if you're excited for Ronaldo's debut Saturday, smash that like button. Any of you in the chat actually going to the game on Saturday? I'm interested to see. Let me know if you're going to Old Trafford on Saturday. But I'm going to take a quick drink of water, and then I've got another story to get into. Jonas Lloyd said he preferred Ruben Neves or Declan Rice. Ruben Neves was obviously a player that we were most linked to towards deadline day. Obviously, we had 3 midfielders in Camavinga, Ruben Neves, and obviously Saul Niguez's stats. We obviously lost Saul Niguez to Chelsea, and we obviously lost Camavinga to Real Madrid. So obviously, come end of the transfer window, we were linked to Ruben Neves quite a lot more than a lot of other players. However, we did not sign Ruben Neves, obviously, pointing out the obvious here, Alice. But obviously, we played Wolves the other day. We've had Fred and Popper in the midfield against Neves and Moutinho, and Neves and Moutinho looks like a lot better midfielder. Neves is a player that Manchester United massively need, and Neves is a player that, again, Manchester United could go in for next summer. Now, Neves' contract expires in 2024, so despite him being quoted at around £35 million, I did think that was quite nice for Ruben Neves. I think he could be a little bit less than £30 million. I am going to share my screen with some cool graphic in just a second. I'm trying to find something that I want to share on my screen and discuss in just a second. But keep getting any questions for me down below in the live chat because I've got something really, really cool to share with you guys. If you just stay here a second, there was something I saw the other day that I was just like, wow, I need to show this on my next stream. But unfortunately, I cannot find it. So bear with me a second, guys. But I do also want to talk about a few other things. What is my FPL rank? No idea. I've finished above average every week, but probably in the middle somewhere. David Hughes says, am I broadcasting the Manchester United Newcastle game? Yes, I will be live for the Manchester United Newcastle game, by the way, guys. Ronaldo's debut, I will be live for that. So do make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel for a Manchester United Newcastle preview Friday night, but also my Manchester United Newcastle live stream on Saturday. I am going to be live and broadcasting Manchester United versus Newcastle. Absolutely gas for the game, guys. You do not know how excited I am. Like, Ronaldo's surely going to start. Like, the thing is with Ollie is he signs new players, and a lot of the time he doesn't start them. Ollie will sign a new player and he won't start him. Fair enough. Ollie, you can sign a new player, you cannot start him. But with Ronaldo, with Bruno Fernandes, when you sign players like that, you have to start them. I mean, Bruno Fernandes was massively needed. We needed a player that could do that position. But now you sign Ronaldo, there's no way he cannot start Ronaldo versus Newcastle if he's fit. There's no way he cannot start Ronaldo versus Newcastle's fit. What I want to do, guys, is I want to show you how far we've come as a squad. Are you ready to see something that's going to blow your mind? Are you ready to see something that's going to blow your mind? 2 years ago, this was our attack. 2 years ago, this was our midfield and attack. This was our front five 2 years ago. Look at that. Now, whether you're Ollie in or you're Ollie out, you cannot tell me that this club hasn't progressed in the last 2 years. You know, we were in a position 2 years ago where we knew we were 2 years away from challenging for the title. You know, 2 years ago when we lost Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in and we didn't finish in the top four, we knew we were a club that needed to rebuild. We knew we were a club that was not going to win the Premier League title overnight. And I think we've done a really, really good job in rebuilding the squad. I think this is the best team we've had since Sir Alex Ferguson. I have to say, I think we've been in a really, really good job of rebuilding a squad. But I look at that, and that just reminds me how far we've come. Fred and Matic in the pivot is absolutely atrocious. It never works. Pereira, useless. Daniel James has gone to Leeds because he wasn't good enough. Brandon Williams is a left back, but had to play as a left midfielder because we have that little depth in the squad with injuries. Because I think this was when Rashford was injured, by the way. This was 2 seasons ago. And Brandon Williams out of Norwich. And Martial's the only good player in that front five. And Martial hasn't been good the last season and a half. You know, Martial, that season, you see Martial 9, yeah? Martial got 17 non-penalty goals in the Premier League that season with Pereira, James, William and Matic and Fred as a service. So whether you're, I'm going to say this now, whether you sleep Martial or you're not, whether you're a Martial hater or a Martial lover, this is why I will never call Martial shit, because only Danny Ings got more non-penalty goals than Martial in the 1920 season. And Martial played half of the 1920 season before Bruno came. And actually, Martial played every Premier League game apart from the final 13 games with basically James, Pereira and Williams and Fred and Matic for service and Lingard for service. Lingard, who got no goals and assists, by the way, guys. We will throw that out. So I do go, look how far we've come in the last 2 years. You know, I think the one thing I'll give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, one thing I will give to the board is that we've had a successful rebuild. And we've had a very, very successful rebuild. I think we're now a squad that could challenge for a title, whereas we were a squad praying to God that we got top four, but thinking that we probably weren't going to get top four again. You know, 2 years ago, we were Arsenal. You know, we like to banter Arsenal, but 2 years ago, we were Arsenal. And someone actually asked me today, what's my honest thoughts on Arsenal's transfer window? I know it's a Man United channel, we could talk about Arsenal. And I actually think that Arsenal, despite not really massively improving, despite massively overspending this summer, and I like to banter Arsenal, I think Arsenal had the right approach to this transfer window, because our first transfer window under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was Daniel James, who was a player that played for a club with the right attitude that wasn't good enough for Manchester United, as we know, but he massively contributed to the club. Then the second player we signed was Maguire. Now, Maguire's our Ben White, but he's better than Ben White. We massively overpaid for Maguire, but he wanted to come to Manchester United. He wanted to play for Manchester United, and also he's massively improved us. He is our best centre-back along with Varane. Maguire's a solid centre-back. And again, Wan-Bissaka, a player that we overplayed for, but a player in a position that we needed, and we massively improved. So I think when you look at the rebuild Manchester United have had, if you look where Manchester United have come, we've had a successful rebuild. You know, we brought a lot of players. When our team was like this, we brought in players like Daniel James, Wan-Bissaka and Maguire that viewed Manchester United to step up. And I think that was the right approach, because I think when you're in a situation when your squad was the shit like we were in 2018, you know, you weren't going to attract Ronaldos and Varanes. If our squad still looked like this, we wouldn't get Ronaldo, we wouldn't get Varane. But luckily, our squad does not look like this anymore. But I do look at that, and I wanted to put that in my live stream today because I think it really shows the club, you know, how far we progressed. Williams was only playing left mid because Rashford was injured. But, you know, we've gone from Rashford, Daniel James and Pereira behind Martial to Greenwood, Sancho, arguing between who of Greenwood, Sancho plays, Ronaldo, Cavani, Martial, Rashford. You know, Martial, who's probably the best player out of those five, doesn't even get in our strongest lineup now. And I think that really indicates how far we've come as a team. Now, Kane says, if you look at the United team now compared to the one on the screen, been massive upgrades to the squad. Ronaldo, Sancho, Varane, etc. Exactly what Niall Kane is saying. Like, the upgrades we've seen at Manchester United is absolutely phenomenal. I just look at that and I go, when we played Newcastle 2 years ago and we lost 1-0 because of Matty Longstaff. We don't even get into the Matty Longstaff stuff, but we lost 1-0 to Newcastle about 2 years ago when Matty Longstaff scored. He always scores against us. No, in Newcastle, they're going to start Matty Longstaff on Saturday and he's going to score. But I looked at the Newcastle lineup, which was very similar to this, but it was Mata ahead of Williams. It was basically the Newcastle lineup was basically this, but it was Rashford striker. And bear in mind, Martial was much better as Rashford as a striker. Mata on the right, James on the left. When we played Newcastle 2 years ago, and I look at the team we played versus Newcastle 2 years ago, and I'm going 2 years forward, the massive difference as well. Absolutely massive difference. It's crazy to see how our squad's progressed, and I absolutely love it. Elan, let me click on this. One sec. Elan says that you can't complain about the names that come in and the steps taken, but we need to push that a little bit extra further, that we become legitimate contenders alongside City and Liverpool. I agree. I think, I look at the names. I think Man United can win the Premier League, and there might be a video out tomorrow. It'll be a short video because I'm not going to be live tomorrow unless any genuine good news comes out. Unless any interesting news comes out, I probably won't be live tomorrow. But what I do want to talk about is I'm probably going to do a video talking about how I think Man United can win the league. Now, I still look at Chelsea and I still look at City, and I think they have a stronger squad. They have a better manager. I think they've got better players. Their midfield is 10 times ours. But, Man City, as I said before, won the league without a striker. Aguero is done. Jesus is average. I think Man United can win the league without a CDM. I look at our squad and I'm expecting us to challenge. I don't want this to be one of those things where we scrap for top 4 last 2-3 games of the season. I want to be challenging. Now, look, if we don't win the league, but we go into final game of the season and we lose the league by 1 point, I'm not going to be all out. I think fair enough. I'll be frustrated because I'll sit there and go, if we lose the league by 1, 2, 3 points, I'm going to be saying if we got a CDM, we would have won the league. If we got a CDM in summer, we would have won the league. But I look at this Manchester United squad and look, I don't believe we're going to win the league unless we sign a CDM. But you know what? I believe we can win the league. Despite how shit we played versus Wolves, despite how shit we played versus Southampton, as a Manchester United fan, I believe we can go out there and win the league. I do. Because Ronaldo's going, I look at the mentality. Ronaldo wants to win stuff. Bruno wants to win stuff. Rashford's going to be coming back from injury, and a fully fit Rashford that's not injured. We know how good Rashford was before his injury. If Martial finds his form, you know how good he is. Amad Diallo looks like a baller. He's not even going to get minutes. People calling Jadon Sancho bang average after 2 games. I just want to mention this actually because I saw people calling Jadon Sancho bang average after 2 games. If you're calling Jadon Sancho bang average after 2 games, you are a fool. Jadon Sancho is not like Bruno Fernandes. I never expected Jadon Sancho to come into Manchester United and actually hit the ground running. I never expected Jadon Sancho to come to Manchester United and be the thing that we needed. Bruno was a confident, experienced captain leader. Jadon Sancho's a young player. So for people saying Jadon Sancho's average, he's not all that. He's played 1 start for Manchester United. He's a young player. He's got to adapt to the Premier League. He's got to learn. Bruno came in as an experienced player, as a player with a lot of confidence, a player with captain mentality. Jadon Sancho's not that player. So I do want to throw that out. But yeah, the players we have now compared to the players we have then is absolutely mad. Did she just say that Martial is better than the 5 senior attackers we have? No. I said that Martial is better than these 5 players on the screen. Martial is better than Williams, Pereira, James, Fred, and Matic. Not the 5 senior attackers. I'm not stupid. And if you look at it now, Matty Longstaff won't be playing. He's on loan at Aberdeen. Thank God Matty Longstaff's on loan at Aberdeen. Because I'll tell you what, if Matty Longstaff played, he'd be scoring against us. He'd 100% be scoring against us. Alice, I like Martial, but he plays pretty terrible lately. What happens to the old Tony? He's a shadow of his former self. I agree, but he did score a goal against France. He scored a goal for France the other day, and Martial's a confidence player. Once Martial has confidence, once Martial has momentum, you do see the best of Martial. So hopefully that'll be the case. Niall Kane says, thank God Matty Longstaff won't play as he's gone on loan to Aberdeen exactly. And it's a team that has evolved, but most important thing is that it's happened. Bruno Fernandes, he's a transformation signing that changed the look of how Man United is. And I 100% agree with this comment here. This is a really good comment here down below. Bruno Fernandes evolved Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes was that signing that changed us. Before Bruno Fernandes, we didn't look like we were going to get top 4. In fact, before Bruno Fernandes, I think we were 14 points off third with 13 games to go. And then we signed Bruno Fernandes and we were a completely different team. We went on a 14-game unbeaten streak. Bruno Fernandes has still not lost an away game in the Premier League to this day. People call him overrated. People call him a pen merchant. But I cannot name a player since Eric Cantona. And bear in mind, I wasn't around for Eric Cantona's debut. I could not name a player in my lifetime that's come to a Premier League club and had a bigger impact than Bruno Fernandes. Because Bruno Fernandes literally took Manchester United from not going to finish in top 4, no hope, 14 points behind Leicester with 13 games less to actually finishing above Leicester, to going into the next full season again where we had a very, very disappointing transfer window and Chelsea had a brilliant transfer window, to actually, you know what, finishing above Chelsea, finishing second. We actually got in the title race for the first half of the season as well. No players ever had that impact. Bruno, we were an average team where we brought a few young players, we overplayed, we brought a few players that were going to come play for the badge, see United as a step up and improve us. Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, and James, you know, were good signings. James is a good signing just for the pure fact that we profited on Dan James. But Bruno came in and he took our squad to another level. And I think there was something, it's not just about how good Bruno was, but it's his mentality. I think when Bruno came in, Maguire wasn't a leader. Maguire shouldn't have been captain. He didn't. Bruno's mentality massively changed the squad. And I think Ronaldo could have this impact, you know. A lot of people go, you know, Ronaldo's finished, blah, blah, blah. Ronaldo's not finished. He scored 30 goals last season. He scored 2 goals versus Ireland the other day with 2 chances, had barely owned the ball. We saw the impact Bruno had on Manchester United straight away with Bruno's elite mentality. Varane looks like he's had an impact already. One game, Varane was fantastic. Maguire looked better. Wan-Bissaka looked better. Varane looked so comfortable. Didn't look like he looked like he fully adapted to the Premier League his first game, and he had a tough game. Ronaldo's going to come in. And Ronaldo, like Bruno Fernandes, is going to have this mentality. And I can see Ronaldo getting our squad this level up. Despite not signing a CDM, you know, it's not always about the player, it's about the mentality. And I think one of the reasons Bruno had such a big impact was not because he's a quality player. Well, it is because he's a quality player, but also his mentality. It took us up a level. But I look at the situation, I look at Rafael Varane, and I go, you know what? And I look at Ronaldo, I go, you know what? If Bruno had such an impact as a player, I think Ronaldo is going to have a massive impact on the squad. That's why I generally think we can challenge for a title, because I look at Ronaldo and I think Ronaldo is going to have a massive bloody impact on the squad. He's going to change the mentality. He's come to win trophies. You know, Bruno and Ronaldo were talking that, you know, there was leaked that Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo were having a conversation where Ronaldo said to Bruno, I want to win the Premier League. I've come to Manchester United to win the Premier League. You know, Ronaldo's come to win trophies. You know, players like Fred, look, squad players like Fred were like, yeah, we got top 4 2 seasons in a row, well done us, and claps himself. And players like Fred think getting top 4 2 seasons in a row, 3 seasons in a row. Players like Fred think as long as you get top 4 a couple seasons in a row, that's good, that's where we want to be, that's a good season. Players like Bruno, they're going, he came second, it's not first, I'm annoyed. Players like Ronaldo, I want to win a trophy. Players like Rashford want to win. You know, we had a lot of players at Manchester United where top 4 would be an achievement. And 2 years ago, top 4 was an achievement. But I remember Fred coming out at the end of last season, you know, second place, well done us. But then Bruno would come out and go, second place, not good enough. It's not first. It wasn't a good season for me. And that's the mentality you need at the club. That's 100% mentality you need at the club. You know, I'm looking at Arsenal right now. And if Arsenal get into Europe, their players are going to be saying it's a good season. You know, but we don't want to be saying because we get into Europe it's a good season. We want to be saying it's a good season because we won a Champions League. We want to be saying it's a good season because we've won a Premier League. And for me, that's Ronaldo, Varane, and Sancho, and Pogba, and Bruno, and all those players are going to say, you know, I'm not going to say we have a good season unless we win the Premier League, unless we win the Champions League, and that's what we want to be as a club. We want to be a club that wins Premier Leagues. We want to be a club that wins Champions Leagues. Only Ronaldo will demand for winning mentality. Ronaldo's all about winning mentality. Is CR7 going to fit back in well? I reckon. Look, the thing is, when you look at the Portugal manager, now if you look at the Portugal manager, Portugal actually line up in a 4-2-3-1 formation, and the Portugal manager plays a very, very similar way to Oli. And I think there was a discussion about, you know, will Ronaldo have an impact at Man United? A lot of people were saying, I think Goldbridge was saying how he says that he believes that, you know, Ronaldo at Man United wouldn't. Well, he didn't say that Ronaldo at Man United wouldn't make a difference, but I watched a Goldbridge match reaction to the Wolves game, and he said that, you know, Ronaldo would have made no difference to that game because he wouldn't have had any service, he wouldn't have any opportunities. And I somewhat agree with him. But then I look at the situation with Ronaldo and I go, you know what, when he played for Portugal, he got absolutely no service, but his numbers for Portugal are absolutely insane because he can just make something happen. And I think that's what Ronaldo's going to do at Manchester United. I think that Ronaldo at Manchester United, he might not get much service, okay, but I still think he's going to score goals, and I still think he's going to have a massive impact in terms of a goal scorer and what he can do. Because I go, you know what, if he, you know, United plays such a similar way to Portugal, and I think he will fit into the Manchester United squad because we do play such a similar way to Portugal that I'm not even worried about it, because we do play negative football and he still gets good stats, he still scores. And at the end of the day, look, we play negative football. I think with Varane coming in, we should be playing a more positive style of football because we won't need that centre-back protection. I think if you get a CDM and we could play the expansive football we saw from interim manager Oli, from post-lockdown Oli, that we didn't really see much of last season, which caused us to score a lot of goals. We did score the second most goals in the Premier League last season. And a lot of that is because, you know what, it doesn't really matter how you play. When you have players like Ronaldo, you can just make a goal out of nothing. We've seen Greenwood do it time and time again. Greenwood has scored some goals out of... Greenwood's had, like, no service, and he's scored some goals out of nothing. It's absolutely crazy and all of that. But Portugal play a 4-2-3-1, and, you know, with 2 CDMs, and Ronaldo got no service, and he still scores goals. Fabrizo says Manchester United fans are set to be barred from attending the club's opening Champions League away game to young boys due to COVID. Is that the case? That's frustrating if that's the case because of the first game, but it is what it is. I'm sure there's Manchester United fans though. In Young Boys is in Belgium. Is Young Boys in Belgium? What country is Young Boys in? Belgium? What's that? Club Brugge. Switzerland. Young Boys is Switzerland, isn't it? And all that. Guys, by the way, let's push for 150 likes. Let me just check the like count on today's video. Let me just check the like count. We are on 111 likes. So if everyone could hit that like button that's watching now, we've just got about 100 people watching right now. If everyone could hit that like button that's watching, let's push for 150 likes. So if you've not hit that like button, please do. Sergio says Vanderbeek says he's going to look at the move if he's not getting game time. I think he's gone if we don't reinforce him by January. I think Jessie Lingard, I said this at the beginning of my stream, Jessie Lingard and Donnie Vanderbiek are 2 very, very good players that would be starting for the majority of clubs in the Premier League, bar Man United, Man City and Chelsea. I actually think Donny would start for Manchester City. I think Donny would get in that Chelsea team, just doesn't get in a Man United. But I think if we get to January and Donny's not been given his chance and Lingard's sitting there not getting game time because he can't get over Bruno and Ollie's not doing much rotation, Lingard and Donny could potentially leave in January. Now, the reason I think Lingard will leave is because I think Lingard stayed at Manchester United because he's thought, I've rejuvenated my team at West Ham, I'm in great form, I've had a great pre-season, Ollie's going to play me. Lingard's been fighting for his place and he thinks he's going to get that chance because he's playing well. And I don't blame Lingard for thinking like that, but I know Ollie, I know Bruno. Lingard only going to be playing in cup games. 3 Premier League games came on 10 minutes. I think Lingard will definitely go in January because he's going to be looking at Qatar 2022 and going, I managed to get myself back in the England squad by, you know, obviously going to West Ham. He wants to play in the World Cup. I think Lingard will leave in January if he's not getting game time. Having said that, you know, Lingard could get game time, but I can't see it. Donnie Vanderbeek is a player that's been promised game time. Donnie Vanderbeek's a player that's been massively promised game time. And I don't think Ollie will let him go because we didn't sign a midfielder. But I think in the summer, Donny could go. But if you lose Donny and Pogba in the summer, we're absolutely fucked. Because we don't even need to replace Donny and Pogba, but we also need a CDM. But Laurie Whitwell has said that United fans are set to be barred from the Young Boys game due to COVID restrictions. I wouldn't be watching it in person anyway. I'd be watching it on TV. But that is a shame. And people saying that you have to admire Donny's positive attitude considering the lack of minutes he had, which is true. Nick Morris says Ronaldo will push the players now. I think that's why Ollie wanted him, as he knows United and is a natural born leader on the pitch, captain without being captain. 100%, you know, Ronaldo, a natural born leader. Pogba CDM. Pogba's not a CDM. He's a box-to-box player. He can play in the pivot, but he needs to be freed up. Pep would make Donny play the same position as KDB. Donny could be a good successor. You know what? No, I disagree with you there. I can see why you think that, and it's a very good way of thinking, but I actually disagree with you there. I've said this in 20, 30 times before on the channel. If Donny Vanderbeek was at Manchester City, he'd play that Gundogan role because Manchester City have a very good CDM in Rodri that I think is actually very underappreciated. I think when they didn't play Rodri in the Champions League final, I think they realised how important their CDM was and how much they miss him. I think Rodri controls the game. He protects the defence. I think Rodri's a fantastic player. Really good CDM, Manchester City. I think what Rodri allowed Gundogan to do last season was Gundogan to go forward and score goals because Gundogan scored a lot of goals last season, and part of that was because Rodri allowed him to basically play as a very attacking box-to-box midfielder. And Donny Vanderbeek, for me, isn't a number 10 like Bruno. He's a box-to-box midfielder. And I think if Pep Guardiola had Donny Vanderbeek at Manchester City, I think you would generally see Rodri, Donny, and Kevin De Bruyne play in the same team. And I think he would be a very successful player at Manchester City. I think we'd be jealous. We'd be saying, oh, I wish we signed Donny Vanderbeek because at Manchester City. And I think that Donny would have been a very regular player in the Manchester City squad if he'd gone there, and he would have played with Rodri and stuff. And that's why I always sit here and go, if we lose Pogba, we still need to get CDM. Because at the end of the day, I'm more than happy to play a CDM, Donny, and Bruno in the same squad because I think it will work. Donny and Bruno together, when they play on the same pitch together, there's a stat that there's a goal every 37 minutes when Donny and Bruno play on the same pitch together, which absolutely crazy because they work up well in the midfield. So that's how I feel about the situation, to be fair. I think, you know, CDM Pogba Bruno, CDM Donny Bruno, I think it's going to work. And that's why I've said time and time again, look, I want to see Matic and Donny because we know it works. We know Donny plays well. Donny's bulked up. I want to see Matic and Donny. While Rashford's injured, I want to see Pogba on the left, 5 assists in 2 games, and Matic and Donny play. And that's why I've said it 10 times. That's why I've said it 100 times. I just think he's that kind of guy. If Donny doesn't play, United swap deal with Tielemans for 90 million. Jeez. We need to ditch the 4-2-3-1, 4-1-4-1, and 3-5-2 etc. Look, we need to go to a 4-3-3 with a CDM, but because we don't have a CDM, I think that's why we're not going to a 4-3-3. But personally, myself, I would love Manchester United to play for a 4-3-3. I would happily switch to the 4-3-3 in a heartbeat. I think it's a very, very good formation. But I don't know if we have the facility. I think we can play a 4-3-3 with Matic, Pogba, Bruno. We saw that post-lockdown Manchester United. We can definitely play a 4-3-3. We do know that, but the situation is we just don't have the facilities and all of that. Premier League, Champions League, semi, FA Cup. Look, if we won the Premier League and Champions League, I'd be absolutely amazed. And when Pogba will go next season, then Vanderbiek will get a chance. I think Vanderbiek deserves a chance this season, considering how awful Fred's been. Vanderbiek deserves a chance. Pep is God, only plays 1 in the pivot. Yeah, Pep only plays 1 in the pivot because he doesn't need to play 2 or 3 bloody players in the pivot because he has 1 actual CDM. We play 2 players in the pivot because our only actual CDM is, of course, Mr. Matic, who can't do it week in, week out. Guys, if you have not already, please do go ahead and hit that like button. Please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. We're going to be doing a question roundup. So any questions you have for me regarding transfers at Manchester United, any questions you have for me regarding news, any opinions you have for me, get them in the live chat because we're going to be doing a quick live chat comment roundup. So any comments you have for me, get them in the live chat. I'm going to be reading as many comments out as possible for the final 10 minutes of the live stream. And go ahead and smash that like button. But now Kane says, do you think Ronaldo, Sancho will start on Saturday? I think Varane will. You know what? I think Ronaldo and Varane will start on Saturday. I think that Sancho is likely to be on the bench. I doubt we will get Yuri. The board won't pull what they did this summer. Look, I don't think we will get Yuri Tielemans, but Fabrizio Romano says Pogba believes Yuri Tielemans is lined up as an option. Ilan says we can just adopt Liverpool's title-winning approach, cross and play. With Ronaldo in the box and being one of the best, most elite headers in football, I wouldn't completely opposed to that style of football. Donnie Vanderbeek and Matic, just Pogba should be in the top of the menu. I agree. Pogba CDM, he says. And do you see Conte as an attacking manager? Not particularly, to be fair. I'm not that fussed about Conte. He's very much stay for a year and go. If not, leave Yuri alone. He's our player. We still have Tielemans, my favourite player. Tielemans is such a good player. I'd like him at Manchester United so much. And big up Bale for scoring a hat-trick for Wales. Big up Mr. Gareth Bale. Now, I am going to end the live stream in just a second. But before I end the live stream, guys, please do go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you are new to the channel. If you have any questions for me that I did not answer, make sure you put notifications on, and I will be live again Wednesday and I will be live again Friday this week. So make sure you are subscribed for that. You've got to hit that like button before you leave. I want to hit 150 likes by the end of the stream, but I don't think that's possible. But if you can hit that like button, very much appreciate it. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning into today's video. It was a little bit of the roundup of the latest Manchester United news stories coming in today. A little bit of a news roundup. Remember, Manchester United, Newcastle on Saturday. Absolutely excited for the game. Ronaldo's debut. I will be live for Manchester United, Newcastle, by the way, guys. I will very much be live for that. So do go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing a broadcast of Man United, Newcastle, reacting to Ronaldo's debut. Match reaction and match previews coming up. More news day updates coming up on the channel. So do make sure you subscribe. Do make sure you share. Do make sure you like. Thanks everyone for tuning in the live chat in today's video. No more questions, Alice. You covered everything here on the stream. Big up, Niall Kane. Thanks everyone for tuning in. 5-0 Man United. We will do Man U Newcastle predictions in my next live stream. I'll be really interested to see your predictions. People watching in Portugal. Deal or no deal, would you swap Yuri for Donny? No way. And if PSG don't win the Champions League, do you think it would be failure for them? If they don't win League 1, definitely failure. But Champions League, look, it's very, very hard to win. But I think if they don't make it to a final or a semi-final, then 100%. If they make it to the final, but hopefully United win the Champions League, so it is a disappointing Champions League for PSG. Hopefully Man City get knocked out their group though as well. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.